I had a bunch of leftover watermelon, so wanted to experiment with making fruit leather. I've been seeing a lot of videos and posts about making fruit leather, and I thought, what a clever way to use up extra fruit, extra ingredients, especially when they're super ripe and flavorful and sweet. If you can't eat all the fruit, turn it into fruit leather. It's a good way to preserve it, make it last a little bit longer. So I have half a watermelon here. So when it comes to fruit leather, a little bit of watermelon goes a long way. You'll have a lot of pulp, a lot of liquid, and you only need a little bit of it to make fruit leather. So I'm just starting with half, and it's really easy. Cut up your fruit, add this to a blender, and let it rip. I let it go for quite a bit just to make sure it's well blended. If you have a dehydrator, you're probably already ahead of the game. So for those who don't have a dehydrator, all you need is an oven. I just take a oven-safe pan, flat pan, and silicone baking mat. You can also use parchment paper, but it gets really sticky, so you need something that'll easily peel away from. Now I've tested this 2 ways. You can do it without straining. All you do is just pour a little bit of the liquid onto a mat, and you just want a thin layer. Make sure it's even and covers the pan completely, that there's no thin spots and bulkier in the middle. I just try to eyeball it, get it as even as possible. Make sure there's quite a bit of pulp in there and liquid. And this is a good time. If you see any seeds still remaining, you can fish those out. You'll need to pop this in the oven for several hours. Usually it takes anywhere from 4 to 6 hours, but after 4 hours, I would check it about every 20 to 30 minutes just to see how it's doing. Put that in your oven as low as it'll go. As low as mine will go is 175. Some newer ovens have a dehydrating feature, so you can actually just use that. Fruit leather is a really passive project. It just takes a little bit of time to create the liquid, put it on a sheet pan, and the oven takes care of all the rest. So the other method that has worked for me, if you want a little thicker, chewier fruit leather, then strain the mixture. You'll get some juice at the bottom and all the pulp. You need a little bit of liquid here, so don't drain it completely. But this is the pulp that you're gonna use. You'll put that on your tray, spread it out evenly, can remove any extra seeds. That'll give you a thicker, more chewy fruit leather. I'm just gonna put this to the side. Now don't discard this juice. I save it. I put it in the refrigerator. I add it to lemonade for a watermelon lemonade. You can add some gelatin or a vegan gelatin and make a little Jell-O treat. When you're making fruit leather or even this extra liquid, if it's not sweet enough, go ahead and add some sugar. You can add honey, you can add maple syrup, whatever you want just to sweeten it up a little bit. I like just the pure fruit, no additives, no additional sugar or anything. So that's why it's good to just make sure your fruit's extra ripe if you're making fruit leather. So I'm gonna keep this in the fridge and make a refreshing treat with it later. If you have watermelon left over, any fruit by that matter, turning it into fruit leather is a fun and simple project to use it up. That fruit leather is done when it is completely dry, set, and not tacky to the touch. Should be a little sticky, that's fine, just not mushy. And this makes it easy. Just peel up that silicone mat. And then I'm gonna start peeling this off. And there you go. Fruit leather magic. This is the thinner one I did with kind of equal parts juice and pulp, but you get a nice thin, chewy fruit leather. Fruit paper, that's what I'm gonna call it. I remember in elementary school, we did a project where we made our own paper. You like blend up paper, and do you put glue in it? You put something in it. You blend up paper, you strain it through a screen and you make paper. This is kind of that same process, just with fruit. So I'm just gonna cover it with some parchment paper and roll it up. Then we can create that traditional fruit roll-up. Just takes an extra sharp knife, chop right through. You really can do this with just about any fruit. If your fruit is extra juicy, extra watery, you may want to reduce it on the stove or just simply strain it. But most fruit, you should be able to just blend up, put on a sheet tray, and in a few hours, you'll have fruit leather. Just like that. A quick, fun, healthy snack you can make right at home, better than candy. And since you'll create a lot of liquid, even from a small watermelon, you can go ahead and do 2 trays in your oven. So one on top, one on bottom. I just like to rotate them every few hours, turn them around, just so they're getting even air circulation and drying out evenly. Of course, there's delicious seeded watermelons. I went ahead and used a seedless watermelon. There are a few seeds in there you'll want to pick out, but for the most part, you can just blend it, do a little strain on it, or just use the juice and make your fruit leather right out of this without having to worry about all those seeds from a traditional watermelon. Let's give this a tasty taste. What a fun snack. It's so delicious, has that full watermelon flavor. Just know that there is a little bit of experimentation when it comes to fruit leather. You can find recipes online, of course, but each fruit will give you a little bit different texture because of the different fiber content, water content. So just go ahead, blend it up, try it out. I didn't put anything else in this but watermelon, and it tastes super sweet. It tastes like candy. But this is really cool. I feel like you could feel good about this, packing this in like your kid's lunch, because all it is fruit. Yes, it's probably a bit of sugar, but no added sugar. It's just natural sugar from the fruit. I'll tell you, I'd rather have this than grabbing a handful of candy.